What is this I see before me? The Unreal Editor loading on Linux. How did we do that? Well, we had to download the Unreal Engine from Epic Games. We had to build it from source and jump through a lot of hoops to get here, but we have the Unreal Editor running on Linux. So let's see how we do it. So in this video, we're going to do something crazy. We are going to build Unreal Engine from source. Now, if you're on Linux, you're going to have to do this because Epic don't provide a downloadable version of the engine like they do for Mac and PC. Then the overview is this. We're going to connect our GitHub account, and make one if we don't have one, to Epic Games. We're going to download the Unreal source code from GitHub. We're then going to run a setup file, which is going to be quite quick, and then we're going to actually make the engine, and that's very, very slow. It's going to take many hours. You're going to need, I would suggest, a minimum of 4 gig, ideally 16 gig of RAM. Be prepared that this is going to be a big, slow process, but of course necessary to get the engine running. So how do we do it? Well, I've already logged in to GitHub here in Firefox. And I want you to go to /settings/organizations like this. And then look and see if you're already a member of Epic Games. If you are already a member, fantastic. If you're not already a member, like I'm going to simulate not being a member by leaving, then I'll show you what you need to do. What we need to do is go to github.com/Epic Games. See, there's a load of repositories missing, including the engine itself. So how are we going to sign up? Well, just follow their instructions. Sign up. Unreal Engine's now free. Register your GitHub ID using these instructions. Awesome. So let's take their instructions, see what they say. Sign up for a GitHub account. You've already done that. Sign into your Unreal Engine account and verify your Epic Games account. So you're going to also need an Unreal Engine account. I'm just going to log into mine right now. So here I am signed into my Epic Games account. I'm going to click on my name and then personal up the top right here. I'm just following through the instructions that they've left us on GitHub, by the way, so there's nothing too complicated here. And then we're going to want to go to connected accounts here. You'll probably be in this situation where you need to click connect to GitHub. Then it's going to ask you to link your account. And then you tell GitHub that's okay, authorize Epic Games, and we are connected. So as far as Unreal Engine or Epic is concerned, we are connected to GitHub. And if we now go back to github.com/Epic Games, it should change as long as we're logged into GitHub. Once you accept the invitation, you see at the top of the screen, Epic Team Admin invited you to join the Epic Games organization. View invitation, join Epic Games, and finally, following the instructions here at the Unreal Engine UE4 on GitHub link, which I'll also pop into the lecture for you. That would be helpful, wouldn't it? You'll eventually see Epic Games very differently. Now you'll see Unreal Engine marked as private. Awesome. And if you click into Unreal Engine, now we're in a position where we could browse the entire engine if we want. This is all the files that constitute the Unreal Engine. Huge amount of information here. And we're going to need to know how to clone or download this onto our computer. Now, you might be tempted to download a zip, but I wouldn't do that because you're going to need space for the zip, which is going to be big. I'm not sure exactly what big means, but I think it's around 30 gig. And then you're going to need space to unzip that zip. So you could be into 80 plus, 90, maybe even close to 100 gigabytes of data by the time you've had all that on there. And that's before you compile the engine. So look, I'm going to strongly suggest that you clone this. Now, there's two ways of cloning it, with HTTPS or with SSH. Now, HTTPS is okay. You have to supply your username and password every time. I always find it causes me a pain and doesn't necessarily work. We're going to do the hard thing. We're going to use SSH. And we're going to do this once. We're going to set ourselves up properly. And then any future access to GitHub is going to be much, much more easy. Because we've got a lot to cover, this bit will be necessarily a bit fast, but there'll be good recap at the end of the video. So I want you to copy the SSH version of this, which is the one that starts git@github.com. Copy that. Pop over to the terminal. I'm going to show you what's not going to work, and then we'll build it up. So what we want to do ultimately is git clone, and then that thing. Now, what that would do is try and put a copy of the engine in a subfolder called Unreal Engine, right where we are and whatever we are in the terminal now. However, the first thing we're going to need, I'm assuming you haven't got Git installed. So let's go ahead and do that. It's not going to take very long. Do exactly what they suggest, which is that. Pop your password in, wait for that to install. It's going to be 30, 40 meg of stuff. Well worth it. Of course, Git is an amazing system for version control and pretty much the only sensible way you can get this information here on Linux. So once that's done, we are going to next need to go to the instructions provided by GitHub on how to clone using an SSH key. Let me show you why you need that. If we try and run by pushing the up arrow twice, that same command again, we'll get further this time. It'll say cloning into Unreal Engine, but it will, even if I say yes to this, say permission denied, and that's because of a lack of a public key. Now, SSH stands for Secure Shell, and what we need to do is go through a somewhat technical process that I'm just going to take you through without explaining, of making sure that GitHub has access, allows access from your terminal. So in GitHub itself, we're going to go to Settings, on the GitHub website, SSH and GPG keys. What we're going to be doing is adding something in here. Now, for how to do this, I've provided the instructions against this lecture, and here's the article. I'm just going to rush through it with you. So I'm going to grab this string here from step 2 of the instructions. Don't worry if you may already have a key in process. We will deal with that a little bit later on when it asks us about overwriting. So we're just going to delete back the your email example. I'm going to put in my email for GitHub. And therefore, it's going to ask us where we want to save it. I'm going to save it in the default place with no passphrase. So what you're seeing on my screen now is normal. This RSA fingerprint is normal. So let's move on to the next stage, which is where they want you to start an SSH agent. So this is what you need to copy. Obviously not the dollar, because that's the prompt itself, but the eval string here. If we paste that in and hit return, it'll tell us that it has started an SSH agent. Awesome, with a process ID there. And then what we're going to do is we are going to do this command here, just following their instructions, which is going to add a public and private key pair. Now, this is the point I mentioned. If you already have an SSH key set up, you can choose to not create a new one as long as you know where your existing one is, and then you can go and find it. Otherwise, create a new one, and then my instructions will work precisely as per the video. Either way is fine. Now, how do you get to that public-private key pair? If we do ls, you won't see it, so we need to do ls space a space minus al. That's going to list everything. Then you'll see that we have a .ssh, so we can change directory into that. In here, you'll see the id underscore rsa.pub. This is the thing we need to get the contents of. The way we're going to get the contents is less, and then we're going to go id underscore rsa.pub, like so, with a bit of tab completion. Less is just a tool for printing this out. Gives us this. I'm going to copy the string carefully from the end of the email address to the start of the word SSH. Copy that. Then once you've got that, we're going to dive over to GitHub. We're going to go to that tab that I had open inside GitHub, Settings, SSH and GPG keys, add a new SSH key, give it a sensible name. I'm going to call this 5K iMac Ubuntu VM, something like that. Paste it in, should look very much like this, starting with SSH, ending with an email address. I'll expand this dialog so you can see my example. Adding that SSH key in now. Awesome. So once that's done, when you go back to the terminal, you should find, by the way, to get out of this less thing, you can go Control Z. You should find once you're back at the terminal and back to the previous directory, cd ... So I want to be here. Wherever you want the subfolder Unreal Engine to exist, that's where you want to navigate to on your terminal right now. All right, if you're not sure, put cd space twiddle. CD space twiddle. I can't get twiddle working on this funny keyboard. There you go. There's the twiddle on this keyboard, and that will take you to your home directory, okay? So what I'm going to do is go back with the up key until I get to that clone again. Now it should start working. Cloning into Unreal Engine. Now, once you see this type of stuff, receiving objects, you're good to go. It's going to take a little while. It's several gigabytes. I'll come back when this process has finished, and I'll see you on the other side. Okay, once that potentially long process is finished, you should have an Unreal Engine subdirectory. Let's cd into this Unreal Engine subdirectory. Take a little ls of what's there. Then we're going to run /setup with a capital S.sh. We need the // to say run in this directory. So /setup.sh. And that's it. Just let that process run. This is getting us one stage closer to being able to actually make our engine. It's a setup script that gets us ready to go, gets all the dependencies installed. When this is finished, might take a few minutes. Then we're going to do the make, which is going to take a long time. And before you do the make, I want you to write down the time of day, and we can see how long it actually takes. All right, well, I'll see you when this particular process has finished, this setup process. Okay, after that setup.sh process, you should end up with success in your terminal, something like this. I'm going to type clear. The next stage is to run /generate project files.sh. Okay, these are all in the instructions that I provided in the link supplied to you by Unreal Engine. I just want to take you through them step by step. So that's going to take a few minutes. I'll be back with you when that process is finished, and then we'll be on to the very final step of this, which will be fun. All right, a minute or so later, we are at this point. You should now just be able to type make. So we've done setup.sh, generate project files.sh, now make. If it starts like this, it's looking good, should work for you if you followed these steps. If not, go back and watch the video again. It's going to be a long process. I'd love you to go over to the community and tell us how long it takes on your system. So your challenge is to build Unreal from source. Write down the time you started, share your setup with the community. What sort of RAM do you have? What processor? What disk setup? And finally, how long did it take you to actually make the engine? On my virtual machine here, it took a couple of hours, something like that. Make sure you've got plenty of RAM, plenty of hard drive space available for this. By plenty of hard drive space, I'd recommend you have about 100 gig available. It may not take that much, but have plenty of space available for it. Wow, okay, that was not quick. In my example, it took over 3,000 seconds. Crazy stuff. So if I just clear, let's take a look at what we've got with a new fresh console. To run the engine, we cd into engine. ls, we cd into binaries. And then finally, we cd into Linux, because we're on Linux. And in here somewhere will be the file that we actually need to run, which is UE4 editor. So we do ./UE4 editor and return. Let's see what happens in this directory, Unreal Engine, engine, binaries, Linux. Run ./UE4 editor, cross your fingers, and if we're really lucky, after a huge video and a lot of work, which we have to do on Linux, we should have something open up. Now, there's a good chance that it won't actually work on my VM because of a problem with the version of OpenGL or DirectX. In this case, it's going to be OpenGL. The version won't be satisfied. But if it gets to the point it gives me an error saying, hey, your version of OpenGL is not satisfied, I'm happy. And as predicted, I get the Unreal Editor dialog there. Might be easy to see without the terminal in the background. And then I get insufficient drivers or hardware. I'm confident that this would open if I was on a native machine. So I'm happy. Hopefully yours is running. Please share over in the community with the link provided whether you managed to get this running on Linux. Huge pat on the back because that's a lot of work, a lot of unexplained stuff in there, but needed to get the video done in one piece really for you guys so that we can move on with the actual programming. So huge pat, congratulations, and we'll see you soon.